Hi, everyone. It is really lovely to meet all of you, see some familiar faces from my last training and with the last sessions that we did. So I just want to share my screen. Hopefully you can all see this. Please raise in the chat if you're having any problems seeing my screen. Okay, fantastic. I'm going to minimize myself. Great. So first and foremost, my name is Charlie. I come from a company called Scene TV. You can check us out at www.scene.tv. And what we do is we're a digital journalism publisher, and we publish to over 5 million subscribers. We publish on lots of different social media platforms, particularly Snapchat and Facebook. And I'm going to go through how we make money on those platforms today. So that's kind of a breakdown of who Scene is and who I am. And I just wanted to quickly go through what we'll be going through today. So everybody in the world wants to know how to make money digitally. And this workshop is going to address that. Today, I'm going to go through a lot of different monetization models from Facebook to YouTube. And I'm going to break down why you might want to monetize on certain platforms and why you might not want to monetize on others. I'm also going to give you a breakdown of the mistakes that Scene made when we first started monetization and how to avoid those, and what you need to look out for to be as successful as possible making money digitally, which is really exciting. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. Okay. So first, to make money, you need to make content that works. You need to understand exactly how to make content that works. And this is super important. If your content isn't going to perform, you are not going to make money. It's a very simple equation. So just to break that down, this is Scene's recipe for success. And if you were in my previous sessions back in, I think, April, you would have seen this. But for anybody who is new, I'm just going to go through this really quickly. So in terms of successful social media content, you're looking for these 4 things, or this is what Scene has identified as something that's important to have in your content. So 1 is suspense. If you can give someone a reason to invest time into a story, they're going to stick around. And the more they stick around, the more money you make. So suspense is super important. Number 2 is fills information gaps. So presenting new information or information in a new understandable way. No one is going to click into your content if you're not presenting something that's going to be interesting to them, something new or something that they may not have understood before. Number 3 is emotion. So you have to have a strong emotional connection to share. This is particularly important on TikTok and Facebook. If you respond emotionally to the content, you're more likely to share the content. And the more shares you get, the more views you get. So if you have a high share count on Facebook, you're more likely to get more Facebook algorithms to push you up towards more people, because they'll see that people are more engaging with your content. And people on Facebook don't share content unless they emotionally connect with it. It has to represent something about them. So emotion is really, really key. This doesn't mean you over dramatize your story. It just means that when you are creating the content, you think about what is the most emotionally grabbing part of the story, whether that, for example, if you're talking about cost of living crisis, which is ongoing in many countries at the moment. If you're talking about poverty lines, zoning in on a family who is suffering due to poverty changes, or looking at kind of how much money people need to spend in a supermarket nowadays, making it relatable, making it emotional at the beginning is going to draw people in for the heavy statistical numbers that you put in towards the end of the piece. So emotion is really important. And then 4 is relevancy, making sure what you're posting is relevant to the audience that you're posting it to, and also relevant to the time and place as well. Relevancy is quite important on some platforms and not so important on others. YouTube, for example, you can do really well with evergreen content that isn't dependable on a particular time or place. Top 10 places to visit in Paris, for example, will outperform again and again on YouTube. It doesn't really matter if you're doing breaking news on YouTube, whereas TikTok is a little bit more sensitive to kind of ongoing news stories and ongoing cultural events. So it's really, really important that you're making it relevant for the particular platforms that you need to. Okay. I shouted about this in my last session, but it's really, really important if you haven't got the memo yet that you are creating video. If you want to make money digitally on these social media platforms, it needs to be video. Monetization, all of the monetization tools I'll be talking about today are only relevant for video formats. So please, please, please make sure that you're considering starting a video strategy if you haven't already. And I'll be talking through some of the different types of video you can do today as well, along with their monetization models. So hopefully it will help you decide what type of video you kind of focus in on. But video is really important. Social media platforms are prioritizing video, including social media platforms like Instagram, for example, who used to be a very predominant image-only platform. They're now prioritizing video. So it's really important that you understand that your content is going to perform better if it's in a video format. Okay. Great. Few last tips on kind of the content side of things to make sure that it improves. Engagement fills your pockets. So it's really important to understand that to boost your content, to make sure more people see your content, you need to drive engagement in the comments. This is really important on Facebook. It's becoming more important on TikTok. Driving your engagement in the comments is really, really important. So what we do at Scene and what we've been doing for quite a while, back when we were called #OurStories, is we've been asking questions in the comments. So have you faced gun violence in your life? ? On a piece about a gun violence survivor that we published a few years ago. Replying to comments in the comment section, saying, thank you for sharing. We're sure many people relate. Helping people kind of say, oh, that's a great story. Perhaps you might want to share it on our platform, or yes, you're talking about this topic and we actually covered this topic a couple of weeks back. Here's the video that you can watch that topic. It's important that you're consistently trying to push your content and push your brand in the comments, in the comment section, and trying to encourage conversation as much as possible. That is the purpose of your comment section. And it always pains me when I see social media publishers with their comment sections off, because you're losing an ability to kind of drive your content forward. Comment sections are actually a gold mine for creating conversation and making more people likely to share your content, and also making more people likely to view your content, which is what makes your money. Okay. And then finally, planning your diaries. So making sure that when you're publishing on that, particularly on that relevancy point, making sure that you are publishing on around news moments and capitalizing on those. So if you have, for example, COP27 is approaching, it starts in November, and COP27 will be a huge event that a lot of people around the world will be talking about. If you have any content on environmental stories, for example, it's a great place, it's a great time to be thinking about publishing those on your social media accounts, making sure that you're aware of the kinds of hashtags that COP27 might be using, and adhering your content to those hashtags and making sure that you're part of that wider conversation that will already be ongoing on the internet. There's no problem with you resharing or republishing old content that might be relevant for a particular news moment. For example, when the Ukraine war broke out, Scene had lots of content that we'd filmed in Ukraine a couple of years ago with wearable devices, stories of Ukrainians who were fighting the war years and years ago, when it wasn't so much in the public view. And we used those videos when the world woke up to the issue in Ukraine, and our videos outperformed because that content was ready to go, and we posted it around the conversation that was already ongoing online. So plan your diaries and make sure you're aware of what's coming out, and making sure you're aware of the hashtags and the language that's going to be used around those particular news moments, so you can join that conversation. I'm just going to pause quickly just to check the chat. Okay, that's absolutely fine. Fantastic. Okay. So, there we are. Next, I just wanted to unbreak the Scene monetization story. So Scene, my company, was completely dependable on one platform. When we first started up, we had launched all of our content on Snapchat, which is a closed platform. You have to be in a select few publishers who are within their publishing remit, and they had invested in us as a startup to begin with. So we had lots of support from Snapchat. They had guided us through how to improve on their application, and were doing really well on Snapchat. But we realized that we were so dependable on one application, on one social media site, that if that social media site started to suffer, started to not perform as well, our whole company would crumble. So we had to diversify, and that was really, really important. And what we did in utter desperation when we first started looking at diversifying is we tried to jump on every single platform that we could, not quite understanding how to do well on those platforms, and also not quite understanding how to make money on those platforms. And what happened is our content suffered. Our monetization wasn't high at all. We didn't really grow on any of the platforms because we weren't really hyper-focused on any of them. We were trying to do too much all at once. When we took a step back, we realized that the platform that was probably the most obvious move for us was actually Facebook. The reason we decided on that was because, one, we had grown over the years a network of people around the world who we had worked with on stories and who had been watching our content, but were based in regions where Snapchat wasn't the best place for them to engage with our content. And that audience used Facebook predominantly. So that was one reason why we went onto Facebook. The second reason was because Facebook was such an easy place to make money. It is one of the best places for monetization. I'll be breaking that down later. So we then decided to hyper focus in on Facebook. We were still on Snapchat, but we left the other platforms. We didn't leave them completely. We still have accounts there. But at the beginning, we focused only on Facebook. That was where all of our strategy was going into. That was where all of our efforts were going into. And we've now got over 800,000 followers on Facebook, and we reach over 1 million views on most of our content. So hyper-focusing really does work, and it is really useful. We turn a profit now on Facebook, and if Snapchat collapsed today, we would still have a company. We would still be operational with our Facebook page. So it's really important to understand that you don't jump into every single platform and try to monetize absolutely all of your content on everything, because monetization does take an eagle eye. It does take it needs you to have a focus on it. And if you don't have that single track minded focus, it can sometimes be very difficult to grow in the way that you might be able to grow if you start with one particular platform and then expand out. Also, you need to be aware of what your audiences are going to respond best to. What platforms are they on, and what platforms are you most likely to grow on? Those are the ones that you want to kind of look out for. And I will tell you exactly why. So quickly, TikTok. TikTok is a place where everybody wants to be, but money-making opportunities are scarce on TikTok. I don't know if you can see Henrik, but I'm just gonna, sorry, I've got you in a little video up here. I'm just gonna move you a little bit so everyone can see. So the TikTok curse is that it's quite difficult to become to make money on TikTok at the moment as a news publisher. That's because they have very strict entry requirements to create cash on the app. To be eligible for TikTok money, you have to be based in the UK, Germany, France, Italy, Spain, or the US. They have not opened it up to any other countries at this time. This may change in the coming year, but at the moment, it is restricted to those countries only. So,
and when, sorry, Charlie, I have there are some questions also, and I have one.
Yes.
Tayyip is asking what kind of content the scene has been creating, referring to what kind of niche. I mean, are you?
Yes. I'll quickly answer that. In terms of scene, we have 10 different channels, and we cover 10 different topics. So for example, we have a survivor show which focuses on violence survivors, so gun violence, domestic violence. We have a show on healthcare, a show on mental health, a show on climate change, a show on finance. So we cover a lot of different beats, but all of our content is made for the Gen Z audience. It's 13 to 24-year-olds is our main target audience, and that's who we reach predominantly. On Facebook, interestingly, Facebook has actually helped us diversify our audience, and we're now reaching on Facebook predominantly 25 to 35-year-olds, which is really great because it's also helped us reach an older audience that wasn't available to us on Snapchat. So that's who Scene is, and that's who we reach.
And I guess you are a public company, so could you lift a little bit and tell how much are you earning on all this?
Well, I'll show you per view later. So when we're going through Facebook and that, I'll show you per view. I can't reveal like our company profits right now, but I can give you. I'll be talking through meta monetization in a second, and I'll be breaking down how much she makes per 1,000 views.
Okay, and Katja is asking, can I stop earning from some videos on my Facebook page?
Yes, so I will be breaking that down in a second as well.
And then my last question comes from here. When you say that you have to be based in UK, Germany, France, Italy, or Spain, is that taken from the IP address, or how is it? I mean, we can watch from anywhere, and we can also try to get private earnings from it. But when it's going through TikTok, that's what you mean. Then you have to have your IP there.
Yes, so it's from the country that the account was set up in. So you set up accounts typically on your phone, or you can do it on laptop. So it'll be set up in the country that your phone is registered to and the account is registered to. So your IPN and also the phone itself. So what we've done actually, obviously TikTok is banned in India at the moment. We have quite a few Indian colleagues. I will disclose that we have one Indian colleague who has downloaded a VPN to try and access TikTok so that they can see how the content is performing. And that's been successful for us. I don't know if it would be successful enough to set up an account, but it is successful enough to be able to view content. I don't know if it would trick it into saying that you're from Italy, for example, in terms of starting an account.
Many of our partners are actually in exile, and quite a few are based in Germany, a few in France. Does that mean that they have a US staff also? Does that mean that they can actually open there?
Yeah, so I'll be talking through TikTok in a second in terms of why it might be interesting to experiment with TikTok money and what that means. So let me break that down for those who are eligible. So not only do you have to be based in those countries that I mentioned, you also have to have a TikTok account in good standing. And by good standing, it means it's not been flagged by TikTok's guidelines. Right now, for example, the scene accounts, we have been flagged for one of our content this week. So I would not be able to apply for TikTok money, even though our account was set up in the UK, because we've been flagged this week for one.
And why were you flagged?
It was because of nudity, actually. We were doing a body positivity piece. It showcased somebody with a crop top on, and that was flagged as nudity. So we had to take the content down. TikTok have very strict guidelines, and they flag automatically, and there's no appeal process. So if you get flagged, you have to take the content down. And if you get flagged twice, they sometimes remove your channel. So again, it's really important that you are on top of the TikTok community guidelines and terms of service. Okay. Great. Then you also have to be at least 18 years old. You have to have at least 10,000 followers. So you have to be on TikTok for a little bit of a while before you can actually get the money. And you have to have at least 100,000 video views in the last 30 days. Okay. So that's really, really important that you've had at least 100,000 video views, which sounds like a lot, but it's not too difficult. And 10,000 followers, which is also doable within a month, I reckon. If you're creating purposely, is the way the BBC taught last week. Okay, just going to the next page. Oh, sorry about that. Oh, I think I skipped one. So the TikTok opportunity. These options are available in those certain countries, but if you do manage to access it, you can get access to gifts during lives and also get access to monetization features. So I just wanted to click on this. Let me exit this quickly. So I have a little, very short video just to demonstrate how to apply for this creative. So this guy isn't eligible, but he shows you exactly how to apply for it. I'll also send this video to everyone as well after this. So you go to your, let me slow this down really slowly. Let me pause this. So how to apply for Creator Next. You go to your settings on your profile, which is up here. Yeah, where he's pointed. Just tilt this a little bit. You then click on Creator Tools. And then at the very bottom, the settings, it says Creator Next, and you click Apply. Okay. Once you're in there, it will then tell you if you're eligible. It will go pink. If it's pink, happy days. You can click Apply. And then TikTok will let you know if you've been accepted in the Creator Next program. Okay, so that's the first step to getting into the program itself. So that's how you apply. You go onto your profile, you click on the three lines, you click to Creator Tools, you go through to Creator Next in the settings, and you click Apply. And that's where you'll find out if you're eligible or not. Okay. What's important to note about TikTok Creator Next program is that it's mainly set up for individuals. It's mainly set up for creators. TikTok is a platform that at the moment is really rewarding individual creators, people who are making content for fun, people who are kind of starting out on their own. And the Creator Next portal was set up for those individuals. So it's really important to understand that the offerings there are aimed at people who are operating as individuals, not as companies. It's a little bit different in the way that Facebook approaches monetization. The Creator Fund basically allows creators to be paid for certain metrics. So if you are on there, they have this thing called the Creator Marketplace, which partners you with other brands that might be interested in working with you to kind of create more money on there. You can also have access to video gifts and video and live gifts. So if someone's watching your video and they like it, they can give you a little gift, which creates some money that goes into your account. And if you do a live video, you can also click there, and the people can click on your live video and give you gifts. You might have seen that if you've ever watched a TikTok live video, you may have seen this. And that is another way of kind of giving people giving you money through the live section as well. So that is how the TikTok monetization works. There's no in-stream ads as there is in Facebook or YouTube. It's all the adverts are all partners with TikTok. You can partner with brand opportunities in the Creator Next community, but that's the brand making an advert featuring you rather than you creating content that's then shown as an ad. And you're also given the opportunity to have video gifts, which are very short, small monetization methods, but can add up if you get quite a few views. Sky News do a really interesting model, and I'm not sure if they've monetized on it. I haven't looked into this, but this week they've been live streaming all of their TV broadcasts into TikTok, which is a really interesting model. If you do get into the Creator Next program, having people watch your live stream TV within TikTok could be rewarding in terms of them giving you gifts for just watching your TV channel without you having to optimize for TikTok, which is quite an interesting model, and something that I would definitely explore more if you are from a traditional broadcast channel. So that's really important to understand. If you create a business account on TikTok, if you list yourself as a business, you will be limited by the audio you can use. So if you ever want to create a trend, video trend, for example, if you if there's particular music that you want to get more views, that you want to use to get more views, you might not be able to access that audio if you have a business account, because it limits what access to audio you have due to advertising regulations. So you won't have access to money-making opportunities other than e-commerce. So you'll be able to sell things. So you'll be able to make adverts and sell items to individuals and partner with other creators as a brand, but you won't be able to kind of create the content that you might want to on TikTok to kind of get the view count that you need. And that's really important. It's a common mistake that publishers will make when they make a TikTok account. They'll make it a business account, and then they're kind of locked into this one space on TikTok that they can't kind of get out of without creating a new account. So that's really important to note.
Samsam is asking, once my TikTok account was created in a country that's not eligible, can I change it to be based into eligible country?
That one, I'm not quite sure. I think you can change the number that the TikTok account is associated with, but I'm not sure if that will change your eligibility status. You would have to change the number and then see if you can go on the Creator Next program, see if that has changed your eligibility. If it hasn't, I suspect it's probably because it was registered in that country, and you may need to make a new TikTok account to kind of be able to get those kind of gifts, the access to the video gifts and the access to the brands collaborations. Okay, thanks so much for the questions. The last thing I wanted to say on TikTok, just quickly, is that TikTok and other social media platforms are looking away from I can see someone's drawn on my page, are looking away from monetization and supporting publishers, and are looking into e-commerce at the moment. This is from a couple of days ago in The Guardian. The TikTok is looking to become the next Amazon. They're looking at ways that they can sell products to their consumers, and that's looking to be what a lot of social media platforms are looking into as their main source of revenue going forwards. Meta have also looked into social commerce firms, setting up a social commerce firm, and it's definitely something that is an ongoing strategy. A lot of social media platforms this year and the past few months have seen a humongous drop in revenue from in-stream advertisements. They've seen a massive drop in revenue from advertising, mainly because advertisers during what looks like to be a recession are kind of pulling out of adverts that they'd usually place on social media platforms, but also the value of advertisements is dropping. So the social media platforms that are completely reliable on in-stream advertising are suffering, and a lot of the big players are looking to move away from it. So just be conscious of that as a publisher who's going in to rely on in-stream advertisements or rely on social media platform support to make money online, that their attention on you might differ over the next few years, because they're moving into this e-commerce space. It's just something to be aware of, something to be mindful of. I could be completely wrong, and they could do a 360 and come back to kind of looking at the potential of monetization. But right now, this seems to be the kind of path of least resistance for most social platforms at the moment. And my second session, I'll be going through different ways to make money online that aren't dependent on monetization in this sense. And I can't wait to discuss that with you in the second session. Okay. Before I go on to next,
with some promotion for your second session also. We just have 3 questions. I'll just read them up, and since I know we got to move on, so try to reply to those briefly. So Yimin Yang saying, how TikTok check if you are not in that listed country? And Kosao, also from Myanmar, and from Misama, very successful Myanmar TV and digital media company, say, we have 64,000 followers and 2.8 million views in the last 30 days, but
Amazing.
our account did not get monetization. So
is that on TikTok?
this was on TikTok, yes. Because
Yes.
you're welcome to follow up. Yes, good.
I would love for more publishers in areas and countries that TikTok aren't acknowledging at the moment in terms of monetization to reach out to TikTok and show them the kind of figures that you're doing, because at the moment it is very closed, and they don't allow you, they won't, it's not set up that you can kind of apply for this monetization without being in the countries that I mentioned. So you won't get money on TikTok without either kind of making your case to TikTok as to why you should be included in that Creator Next program, but also if you haven't set up your account in one of those countries. So that's really important to note. As I said, TikTok is the place to be for visibility, but it might not be the place right now to be for revenue streams. There's arguments to be there just for visibility at this stage, and that's why Scene has gone onto TikTok. It's why we've expanded into TikTok, not to make money, but to be there just to be seen, and just to kind of grow our audience that we could potentially convert onto our Instagram and our Facebook pages where we do make money. And that's another strategy that you can look at. If you have that many followers on TikTok, how do you kind of get them to also migrate over to Facebook to watch your longer form content, for example, that might mean that you get to make a little bit more money on those audience numbers. So that would be something that I would look into if I was you. Okay.
Thanks, Al.
Fabulous. Let me move on quickly because I am conscious of time. Okay, Meta, the real money makers. I'm going to go through Meta and YouTube, but first let's start with Meta. So Meta have strict policies, but they have a small ask to start monetization. They also have multiple streams of revenue, from in-stream ads to fan subscriptions and branded content. And I'll go through fan subscriptions and branded content in my second session. But today I'm just focusing in on in-stream ads. So on the in-stream ads, the first step to revenue, you need to have the following. So you need to have 600,000 total minutes viewed in the last 60 days. This isn't too difficult. You just have to publish regularly. And then you have to have at least 5 active videos. If you want to have in-stream ads on live video, a lot of people use Facebook to go live on, or Instagram to go live on. If that's the case and you want to also monetize your live content, there's some additional requirements. You have to have at least 60,000 minutes of those 600,000 total minutes that were from live videos, views from live videos. And you have to have at least 10,000 page followers. Okay. So as I mentioned, Scene has over 800,000 followers on Facebook. So you have to have at least 10,000 followers on Facebook to do monetization on live videos. But you can have in-stream ads on your usual videos, on your non-live videos, without having that 10,000 follower mark, which I think is a really low benchmark and a really exciting opportunity for a lot of people, a lot of publishers. So Facebook for me is very interesting because of that. There's a low benchmark to kind of start making money, and it's a big audience reach as well, across a lot of different continents, a lot of different areas that might not engage on other platforms like Snapchat or TikTok, for example. Ads are placed at the 1 minute mark in long form. So your content has to be at least a minute, and it has to be optimized for this break. So if you are creating content, think about the fact that there's going to be an advert at the 1 minute mark in your piece. Okay. Make sure people are watching past that minute. So if you are about to interview someone important, or if you're going to reveal something interesting about the story, make sure that that reveal happens just after the minute. So you tee it up just before the minute, and then at the minute mark, you're just revealing what that is. And that will mean that people watch past that advert. A lot of the skill of monetization is actually making sure that, as I said at the beginning, the suspense element, that making sure that your viewers are watching past the ads, which is much more harder than it sounds. People do not like watching adverts. And if your content isn't appealing enough, people will just close it and go to the next one. So making people watch past the advert is the real skill. And that advert in long form is placed at 1 minute, okay, on meta content. Okay. Any questions in the chat on that before I move on?
We have one going back on the TikTok, and this is from Yemin Yang, saying, if someone from US create TikTok account but post videos from another country, is that eligible?
Are they? It would depend on where they were at the time when they created the account. I think if you create the account in the US, then it should be eligible. That should work. Yes, that should work. For example, seeing right now, we created one account in the UK, but we often publish from South African phones, and we've we're still eligible if we want to monetize. Okay, so that's something that should work. Okay. All right, so that's long form meta. Just to give you a breakdown, our scene earns about $3 per 1,000 views on Facebook. So every 1,000 views that we get, we make $3, three US dollars. So that's kind of the breakdown of kind of how much money you're looking at. That doesn't, that fluctuates. It depends on how well that particular video does. But the average for us is about $3 per 1,000 views. Okay, hopefully that gives you kind of an idea of the kinds of money that you can make there.
But Paul is asking, is it counted if you skip or forward without viewing the video? And this is about the ads.
I am not sure about that, actually. I'm not sure about whether the user, how long the user has to spend on the advert for it to count. And some adverts you can't skip, others you can. So I'm not sure if it counts if the people have like skipped after 1 second, or if they've skipped after 3. I'd have to kind of look into that a little bit further, but I'll try and get that answer for you before next week's session. Okay. Good.
Then is asking, thanks for your presentation. How about if I have a Facebook account with 19,000 followers but spread daily news? Can I make money without videos but only with posts?
So as I mentioned at the beginning, all of these monetization efforts, the ones that I'm talking about today, I'll be talking about next week. I'll be talking about some forms of monetization that doesn't necessarily require you to post video content. I'll be talking about those next week, but this week, this is primarily video. And what I would say is, if you're not posting video at the moment, you might want to think about it, because Facebook and Instagram have both come out, Meta as a general have come out and said that they are prioritizing video content. If you're not posting video content, your content will not be boosted. It will not be pushed by the algorithm in the same way. So if you want more views and more followers, you might want to consider looking into video content creation on these platforms specifically. Okay. Twitter is text-based, and they're not pushing video as hard as other platforms, but Facebook has kind of changed its aim to video, and since TikTok rose basically, and they are very super focused on video now, as they probably will have told you when they came to talk about reels and reel creation. Okay, I'm just going to move on for time, but we can go through the questions, the follow-up questions in a second. Just going back to Meta, they probably will have mentioned this to you, but now, recently, they've now made short form content, as in a minute, less than a minute, also monetizable, which is really amazing. They have bonus programs and static ad placements, as well as in-stream ads for that. You can go to your rights manager and check out if you have the ability to monetize on those, on your short form content. So you can see in your creator studio if you are eligible to be part of their bonus program for real content, which is really exciting and something that is really, really amazing. So have a look on your creator studio, and I'll be going through how to check your eligibility in a second. Go into your creator studio and check out whether you're eligible for that bonus program. Scene is, and we've been making quite a bit of money on reels recently. It's been fantastic to be part of that bonus program, and it's really refreshing to see another revenue stream from Meta. So that's something that's really exciting that's come out recently. They've also recently released this thing called Stars. It's very similar to the TikTok GIFs that are so closed up to that closed community that I talked about earlier, that Creator Next community. Meta have now copied that basically, but they've opened it up to anyone who's eligible for monetization, and they've called it Stars. And basically 1 star, so if somebody gives you a star, it equals 1 British pence. So 1 star equals 1 British pence. So if you get lots of stars, it can go up to pounds and pounds and pounds. You're not going to make tons of money from the stars, usability, but it's going to add just a small additional revenue stream. For the stars, you have to have 1,000 followers, but they do also work for live content and for reels as well. So that's really cool. For stars, you have to be in the following countries. I'm just going to list them out, but I'm also, all of the links that I'm showing you today and talking about in terms of the countries and that kind of thing, I'll be putting into the chat at the end of my session as we're going through questions, and I'll also email them to everybody who attended the session as well. So don't worry about kind of finding out where you find this information. I'll be sending you this in a link anyway. But just as a quick kind of run through of the countries, Argentina is one, Australia, Belgium, Brazil, Canada, Chile, Colombia, France, Germany, India, Indonesia, Italy, Malaysia, Mexico, New Zealand, Peru, Philippines, Portugal, Spain, Taiwan, Thailand, UK, and the US. So if your Facebook page is based in any of those countries, you will probably be eligible for stars, which is something that's new, brand new on Facebook, and something that is on Instagram, and is something that is another way to earn money on Meta. Okay. Fabulous. Okay, I'm just going to quickly move on to YouTube. I'm going to come back to Meta in a little bit, but let me just quickly move on to YouTube just for time. YouTube is another moneymaker. YouTube again has a very short benchmark for making money. You have to have 4,000 watch hours over the last 12 months. So you have to have people who have watched your content for 4,000 hours over the last 12 months. And you have to have at least 1,000 subscribers on your channel, which isn't that high at all. If you fail the eligibility check, you can reapply after 30 days. So if you don't make their requirements, then you can reapply after 30 days, which is great as well. You also can't have guideline violations. So they have guidelines as well on YouTube in the same way that Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok do. And you need to be within selected countries. It's many, many more than TikTok. And it also, unlike Facebook, actually reflects some of the African continent as well. Facebook, unfortunately, if you're based on an African country, doesn't currently let you monetize, which is a shame. On YouTube, that is different. There's some African countries that are represented. So again, I'll send you the list of all of those countries. I'm not going to list them all out like I did with the Meta ones, just because there's about 20 more countries on that list. But I'll send those out to you and you can check whether your country is on there. You also need to make sure AdSense is enabled on your account to join the YouTube Partners Program. But once you're in, they are really supportive and provide a lot of assistance. Okay, on average, the YouTube channel, like each YouTube channel, can receive about $18 per 1,000 ad views. So this equates to about $3 to $5 per 1,000 video views. Okay, so it's about similar to what Scene is earning on Facebook per 1,000 video views. It's about $3 to $5 per 1,000 video views. Okay, the more views you have, the more on average you make. It's exactly the same as Meta. I wanted to highlight this website. I just need to load it up on my side. This is really useful if you want to kind of have a look at best practice examples. So you can type in any URL into this website. It's mainly made for influencers and brands, like marketing brands. But you can type in any URL. I've just taken Vices for now, because I know that they're particularly doing quite well on YouTube. And it tells you, it calculates to an average what kind of money they're making monthly on YouTube, and the kind of sponsorship price if you were going to have a advertisement within their video or sponsor their video, how much that might cost. You can estimate their daily earnings, estimate monthly earnings, estimate yearly earnings as well from YouTube, which is really, really interesting. It also gives you a hot list, so it shows you kind of the other channels that are doing pretty well. And again, you can explore lots and lots of different accounts on here, which can be useful to kind of see, okay, well, these accounts are making money on YouTube. Let's have a look and see what they're doing differently to me and how I can improve kind of my offering on YouTube to kind of improve my subscribers and improve the kind of money I'm earning per month. So this is a really useful site. Again, I will send you the link at the end of this session. Okay.
Charlie, we have a few questions, but you decide when you want them.
Go ahead.
All right. Katja is asking, can I earn from promotional videos, and can I promote on Facebook from 2 different countries?
So on Facebook, and I'll be going through this in a second, on Facebook, if you have cross-posted, okay, your content, it is not monetizable. It's only monetizable on the one account. So for example, Scene cross-posts all of our content right now. We've recently launched all of our 10 channels on Facebook. We previously only had them all on Snapchat, and we've recently launched all of them independently. So we have an independent Scene Survivors channel, an independent. So at this moment, while we're still growing those individual channels, we're cross-posting everything from the Scene Stories central account. That means that we can't earn any money on the individual channel accounts because we're cross-posting all of our content to those accounts. So it's important that if you're cross-posting or collaborating with a brand, you probably won't be able to earn in-stream advertising revenue from that particular piece of content. But what's amazing about Facebook is that you can turn off adverts You can turn off monetization per content. So if you know that there's a particular piece of content that isn't going to do that well, you can turn off in-stream adverts on that piece of content yourself manually. Okay.
Okay, then there is a coming from Fadi from our team that's running this. That please, everyone, you have been sent a survey. Please reply to that during this last part of the training. And then Pui Sun Win wants to know, why did Meta ask to set up payout account after we enabled stars, since we already have business manager accounts on Facebook? Do you have an answer to that one?
I'm not quite sure about that one. That sounds like it's something to take to a Facebook contact. Facebook have community manager contacts in all the different regions. I'd find out who is the person for you, for your region, and then outreach to them about that and ask them for assistance. They're usually quite receptive and usually quite helpful with questions like that. So I would try to get their attention on that particular issue. I'm not quite sure why. Okay.
Okay, and then we have the YouTube channel, the calculator that you mentioned before is in.
Yes, Nox influence.
In YouTube, Issa is asking, does my views depend on my subscribers? I'm not sure I totally
So
understand.
your views don't depend on your subscribers. So you, for example, I can watch a YouTube video for, let's say I'm interested because I'm traveling to Dubai and I'm interested in sites to see in Dubai. So I type into YouTube sites to see in Dubai, and I come across a channel, I watch that video, and then I go away. I might not subscribe to that channel because I'm not going to be in Dubai all my life. I might visit it once and that's all I want to know about it. So that video itself might have tons of views because people are consistently wanting to know what's in Dubai. So that video might be doing really well view count, but it might not have lots of subscribers. So no, your view count doesn't depend on your subscribers, but the more subscribers you have, the more loyal viewers you have. So on content that isn't so evergreen, on content that isn't so searchable, highly searchable all the time, you'll still perform well because you have a subscriber base and the subscribers are notified of your video as soon as you post it. If you don't have a subscriber base, then you're really depending on that search bar and hoping that people search for your content. Okay, so that's the difference between subscribers and viewers and viewers who aren't subscribers. YouTube is a little bit more dependable like that, whereas on Facebook, a lot of the content that you put out is actually seen by people who don't follow you, which is a really interesting thing to look into. And I can speak a bit more to that next week as well, if that's something that's interesting to people. Okay.
Tayeb is asking, there's news that YouTube is increasing its watch time parameter to 8,000 watch hours. Have you heard about that?
I hadn't. That's interesting. In terms of eligibility or just in terms of, I'm not sure if that's in terms of eligibility for the YouTube Partners Program, but if that's the case, then that's very interesting. It will be more in line with the rest of the social platforms, because YouTube is quite low at the moment in terms of a barometer. But that's quite interesting. Everybody wants to be a YouTuber famous. So I wouldn't be surprised if they're raising the bar a little bit.
Tayeb says it's in terms of eligibility, it's a news rumor in your YouTubers.
Sorry, could you repeat that?
It's a news rumor and it's going in YouTubers, which is I guess a group.
Right.
So it is a rumor so far.
Okay, well, definitely keep an eye on that. Just quickly moving on. YouTube not-for-profit. I just wanted to flag this for anybody who is listed as a not-for-profit. YouTube has this amazing not-for-profit program So if you're a not-for-profit, you must register with them, with YouTube, and let them know that you're a not-for-profit, because they give you a special card that allows you to link to your website in your videos, which is really fun. So if you have if you want to push people towards a donation page, for example, you can in the video itself. They give you Creator Academy access, so they help you create content that's going to outperform. And they give you technical support as well, so that you actually have a assigned YouTube support person who helps you get up and running. So that's really, really cool.
Can you put the address in the
Yes.
chat?
I was about to say, I will put all of these links in the chat for you at the end of my deck. Okay. So that's the Google. You could just go to Google for nonprofits page. Again, YouTube is affiliated with Google, so you have to go to Google for nonprofits page, and then you have to fill out the information there. Okay. But I'll put that link in. Quickly, benefits. The benefits to these real money makers, YouTube and Meta, is they both allow for continued income on old videos. So Scene is consistently making money on videos that we posted 2 years ago. If your old content suddenly becomes relevant, for example, like our Ukraine videos that I was talking about, your video will still make money. So if people are looking for, in YouTube, for example, if people are typing in Ukraine and you've posted something on Ukraine 6 years ago and someone watches it, you will still make money on that piece of content, which is really great. You can also monetize on long form and short form, both on YouTube. YouTube has a content called YouTube Shorts. It doesn't offer as money, like interesting things as Meta does, so I haven't included it in this speech, but it does, that does exist. If that's something you want to look into, and on long form as well. And then earning money doesn't restrict you from other services on these platforms. So it does mean you have to abide by stricter guidelines though, and certain advertisers won't agree to advertising if your content is unsuitable. And that brings me to my next point. So case study. It is really, really important that you keep an eye on guidelines, and especially with Meta, they have separate guidelines to the ones that you'll be familiar with as a content producer, to the ones that you need to be aware of as a monetized content producer. So there are guidelines for advertising in your content, and they change, and they're also quite vague. So it's really important to understand and try to unpick what that means for the content that you're creating and what the content you're posting might mean. So on the right here, I'm just going to play you a few snippets of this, but it's a video that we posted about 2 weeks ago on Facebook. And this video was flagged because it was limited monetization, which means that only very few advertisers would agree to advertise in our content, which means that we wouldn't be making much money on this particular story at all, even though it performed quite well. I'll just show you a few seconds of it.
Up in a fairly white city, being one of the only Black girls in the school, and then adding this on top of it was just icing on the cake for me. I started showing signs of it around puberty. I thought it was normal because I was told to expect to start having acne, but it started showing up in spots around my chin and around my nose where my peers were not having these pimples. I tried all the standard skincare things, pimple.
So this woman has visible tumors on her face, and the whole story was based around that. We suspect, and Facebook don't give you specific breakdowns of why your content was flagged. We suspect it was breaking their one of their guidelines, and I'm just going to open up the guidelines now quickly for you to see. Just wondering if I can see my. I'm going to close this down. Okay, here we are. So they have these these advertiser-friendly content guidelines. And it breaks down ratings. Okay, for almost all advertisers, your content is available to the largest number of advertisers because it isn't likely to be filtered out by brands. Okay, for most advertisers, your content is available to fewer advertisers because it's likely to be filtered out by some brands. And okay, for very few advertisers, and this is where we were, your content isn't available to most advertisers because it's likely to be filtered out by most brands, which can severely affect your earnings. In your library or creator studio, these videos may display an orange or yellow monetization icon, which ours did. Okay, ours was in yellow here, or what, orange there. Blocked. Your content won't be available to any advertisers and can't be monetized. So if this happens, you know that you've created content that's completely against their guidelines. So for us, what we suspected this one was actually explicit content. So things that require medical attention to heal or bodily functions that would provoke a visceral response, major wounds, is something that we felt this was the reason that they had raised this particular video. We feel that this particular video was very kind of a weak thing to flag. It wasn't particularly, we publish things on gun violence all the time, for example, which is a lot stronger. And this one was a very weak one for Facebook to flag. So I just wanted to reiterate to you that you have to be super on top of these monetization guidelines and just be wary of the fact that content will be flagged automatically by the platform. And it doesn't mean that your content is going to be taken down or going to be removed. It just means that you're not going to make as much money as you could have on that particular piece of content. And it's important to understand why that is. Do some investigation as to which particular one of these you may have broken, and to see how you can adapt to it next time. So that's just something to be aware of. Their guidelines are quite strict and quite vague, and something that you just need to be aware of when publishing on and trying to make money on these platforms. Any questions quickly on that, Henrik? Was there any questions in the chat on guidelines?
No, there hasn't been, but I want to. We are gonna have a whole session. Well, Katja is asking, could this harm the performance and spread of the page?
Yes. So if it goes against community guidelines, so if it goes against advertising guidelines, it's not going to harm the spread of the video. If it goes against community guidelines, Facebook will deprioritize the content. So on this case, it was only going against video monetization guidelines, the advertiser guidelines. So in this case, it didn't restrict the amount of views that we got. It just restricted how much money we made on those views. Whereas if it gone against community guidelines, that's a different flag, and it comes up. It will explain in your creator studio if it's a community flag. If that's the case, then they sometimes will hide the explicit content in the video. They'll ask people to give permission to view it, and they'll deprioritize the content, or they can take it down or mute the content if it's copyright violation. So that's just something to be wary of. But that is different to the advertising guidelines that I've just spoken through.
But it's still disgusting that we are only showing beautiful people because of the advertisers. But that's for a discussion we're going to have.
Yes.
Last workshop called Working with the Big Techs. So Kosau is saying, yes, one, is it possible to upload the video with banner ads in it? The banner ads would be local advertiser.
I'm not sure about that. We've uploaded videos with different organizations' logos in it, but we've had to tag them as a partner. We've had to tag it as branded partnerships, a branded piece of content on Facebook and Instagram. And in that case, we couldn't monetize on that video because it was a branded collaboration. So just be wary of that. Facebook are cutting down on advertisements that aren't being paid for by them, but being paid to them. So yeah, just be aware of that. I'm not sure in terms of it being in the actual content. For example, if you've taken it from a local TV broadcast and then repurposed it for Facebook and you had advertisements in that broadcast, I'm not sure. That's again something maybe to ask your regional community manager at Meta. You might be able to answer that better than I can. I've only got a few more slides to just go quickly through. So let's look at how you sign up. I wanted to show you guys exactly how to find out if you were eligible. So let me just hide those controls. So here is our Scene Africa Creator Studio. If you've never been on Creator Studio before, you need to make sure that you're logged into your Facebook account. And then you just type in Creator Studio on Google. You can also access it via your Facebook account, and it will load up with the accounts that are registered with you. So make sure that you're an admin on those accounts. Scene Africa is one of our accounts. We have many, as you can see. And you can see Facebook and Instagram analytics in here. Now, what we're interested in is monetization. So you go down to monetization on the left-hand side. You click on monetization. And you can see that Scene Africa has had no monetization breaches, which is good to know. And we are eligible for stars, but we haven't set up stars on this particular account. Okay. So we can press get started here. We also haven't done monetization on this account, so we can press start setup. So we go down to performance, we press start setup, and here it will tell you the things that you can set up. So we can set up stars, I can set up paid online events, which I'll be talking through next week, and paid branded content as well. Other monetization tools is where you want to look at for in-stream ads. Yours might be up here, but the reason it's down here is because we don't meet the criteria. Okay, so this is the monetization that I'm talking about, the in-stream ads for on-demand and in-stream ads for live. Right now, we don't meet the criteria. So you can view the criteria and understand why you're not meeting that criteria. So here, we've got the followers, our followers match. We've got over 10,000 followers on this page. We have active videos. We've published enough videos. But the problem is our eligible minutes viewed. Now, this is not because we haven't reached the view count that we needed to on this page. It's because, as I explained, all of the views that we are getting on this page at the moment are from cross-posted posts. We are posting first on our Scene Stories account and then cross-posting it to our Scene Africa account. So everything on our Scene Africa account is also seen by people who are subscribed or follow our Scene Stories account. And that means that we can only monetize on our Scene Stories account. So right now we're not eligible for monetization on our Scene Africa account. And this is where you find out. If you are eligible though, you just press setup and you can go through the setup stages. And it will talk you through how to do it really, really easy and allow you to review the terms and conditions as well. So that's how you set up monetization on Meta. You start it off with Facebook, and you can also look into the Instagram one as well on the same page. Okay, so that's a very quick walkthrough of how to set up on Meta. Really quickly, if you are based in the Middle East region or you publish from France, you need to think about Snapchat. Snapchat is a really, really interesting case study. We are a little bit biased at Scene. As I said, we did start there. It's where our success model grew. But Snap are incredibly supportive of their publishers. If you get in there, they are very helpful at telling you how to make money on that platform. you have daily support from Snapchat, and you also have much more detailed analytics than you have on any other platform. So you can physically see where individuals dropped off from your content, and also see which thumbnail performed best with which metrics. It's really detailed analytics, which really help improve your content. Snapchat is guarded, and you have to, you can't just create an account and start publishing. You have to apply to be a part of their publishing program. And that's by outreaching to Snapchat themselves. What I would advise is you create a Snapchat profile, and you turn it into a public profile, which is very simple. You just go to your settings on your normal profile and then change it to a public profile, and then you can start publishing as a creator, but you won't be eligible for monetization until Snapchat notice you. When you do start becoming part of the Discover community, and they are letting in much more publishers recently, they've started a new program that allows you to publish RSS feeds straight to Snapchat. So Washington Post do that. Now This are posting on there very regularly. New York Times do really well there. The Guardian, the Daily Mail, all publishing on Snapchat, all performing really well. What's interesting about Snapchat, especially in the Middle East and in France, where they have a huge audience base, is the fact that you can have multiple adverts in a 3-minute piece. So all your content is 3 to 6 minutes, and you can have multiple adverts within that space. You can also place where the adverts are yourself, so you can control where the advertisements appear, which is really unique. So you can make the most of where those adverts appear in your content to make sure that it's performing better. If you are based in Asia or based in Africa, Snapchat might not be the place to play, because the audience spaces are not there. Especially in Africa, Snapchat is not something that's being picked up on the continent. But in the Middle East, it is one of the most growing platforms, fastest growing platforms, and Middle East specifically is a very focused region for Snapchat at the moment. So if you're based there, it might be worth looking into it as a monetization option. It will take more time than it would to set up a Facebook page, though, just for your information. Might be a bit more rewarding in the long term, though. Finally, problems with relying on early monetization. We've spoken in small chunks about how social media platforms are suffering at the moment with ad-based revenue and how they're moving away from that. And the problems with relying all of your revenue on one revenue stream, as I spoke about, seeing kind of completely dependable on Snap for a short period of time, and the problems with that. So next week, I'll be unpacking other ways of making money digitally that aren't so dependent on the social platforms and aren't so dependent on the performance of those social platforms. So we'll be unpacking some of that next week. And if you have any questions along other forms, hopefully I'll answer them next week and we can explore that together.